It was a quiet Wednesday night when Helen, 74, suddenly collapsed beside her bed. No warning, no pain. Just a sharp silence, followed by the soft thud of her body hitting the floor. Her cat, Tilly, meowed in confusion. Her daughter found her at 3:10 a.m., barely breathing. Helen was doing everything right. She took her meds, walked every morning, even cut back on salt. But none of it protected her from what was silently building night after night, until her brain simply couldn't take it anymore. What if I told you the danger wasn't from what Helen forgot to do, but from what she did every night without a second thought? This is not a story about fear. It's a story about power, about how tiny nighttime choices can either protect your brain or silently strain it when it's most vulnerable. If you've ever thought, I'm doing all I can, this story is for you. Because sometimes it's not about doing more, it's about doing smarter. Section 1. What your brain battles while you sleep. When Helen turned 74, she considered herself lucky. Her cholesterol was under control. She could still garden for hours. And her doctor often told her she was healthier than most people half her age. Yet that spring night, as her body hit the floor with no warning, no chest pain, no dizziness, no aura, it shattered the illusion that doing most things right was enough. Helen's stroke came at 2:51 a.m., but the real damage had been quietly building over months, perhaps years, during the exact hours she believed were meant for healing, sleep. What few seniors realize is that while we rest, our brains enter their most vulnerable phase of the day. You lie down, pull the blanket over you, and think your body is recovering. But inside your skull, an intricate tug of war begins. It's a war between oxygen and pressure, between calm and silent chaos. As we age, our body becomes more sensitive to small changes. The arteries stiffen, the veins weaken, the lungs grow less efficient. And while these changes don't always cause problems during the day, they become dangerous when we're asleep, when gravity no longer helps blood circulate, when our breath becomes lighter, and when the body's natural night shift kicks in. In Helen's case, she had no idea that lying completely flat in bed was quietly overloading the vessels in her brain. Like many seniors, she thought it was the natural way to sleep. But as blood pooled in her head and her breathing grew shallow, her brain was struggling with reduced oxygen, rising pressure, and no way to signal the body to fix it. You see, when you sleep, your blood pressure drops, your heart rate slows, and your airways relax. That's normal. But for seniors, these changes often go too far. Blood pressure may dip below safe levels. Shallow breathing, especially if you snore or unknowingly suffer from sleep. Apnea can lead to oxygen drops that trigger pressure responses in your brain. It's like a seesaw, tipping back and forth all night, each imbalance straining the vessel walls. Now here's the terrifying part. This cycle happens every single night. You don't feel it. You don't wake up from it, but it chips away at your resilience. And when a fragile blood vessel finally gives in like it did for Helen, it happens in the quiet, during the hours when help is farthest away. This isn't rare. In fact, according to the American Stroke Association, a significant number of strokes in older adults occur between midnight and 6 a.m. They call them silent stroke windows. Not because they're symptomless, but because no one is awake to witness them until it's too late. Even more alarming, most of these events are preventable. Doctors who study sleep in seniors now believe that poor sleep posture, nighttime dehydration, undiagnosed sleep apnea, and certain medication combinations may be responsible for up to 40% of nighttime cardiovascular events. And these issues don't stem from laziness or neglect. They come from habits that once served us well, but now silently work against us. Helen had always drunk a full glass of water right before bed, thinking it was good for cleansing the system. She always lay flat, thinking it would ease her back pain. She kept her room warm, because cold air makes the joints stiff. All logical, all well-intentioned, all contributing to the perfect storm in her brain. But there's a hopeful side to this story. Your brain isn't defenseless. Even in our 70s, 80s, or beyond, the human body retains an incredible ability to adapt, recover, and repair if we give it the right conditions. Just a few changes in our bedtime routine can make the difference between slow decline and sustained clarity. Think of your brain like a garden. During the day, it grows, processes, creates. But at night, it must drain, detox, and heal. If the soil stays waterlogged, if the air is too stale, if the pressure builds too high, that garden can't thrive. That is exactly what was happening in Helen's skull night after night until one day it couldn't take anymore. But you're reading this now, and that means you still have time. Time to understand the nighttime risks that often go unseen. Time to adjust how you sleep. Time to give your brain the peace it deserves. In the sections ahead, we'll explore exactly what needs to change and how seniors across the world are quietly extending not just their years, but the quality of those years by making bedtime their most powerful hour of the day. Section 2. Smart Hydration Timing, a simple shift that could save your brain for most of her life. Helen believed she was doing the right thing by drinking a full glass of water before bed. After all, hydration is good, right? It flushes out toxins, keeps the skin young, and helps the kidneys. That's what every health magazine told her. What no one told her was that timing mattered just as much as quantity, especially for someone over 70. In the weeks following her stroke, Helen's doctors walked her through a surprising truth. The brain doesn't just need hydration. It needs timed hydration. The body's ability to regulate fluids, blood pressure, and organ function changes with age. And what once was a harmless habit in your 30s or 40s could become a hidden risk decades later. Let's break it down. When you drink water, especially large amounts right before lying down, your body scrambles to process and distribute that fluid. Your kidneys are forced to work overtime during hours they're supposed to rest. That often leads to increased urine production during the night, which means more trips to the bathroom. But that's just the surface problem. Here's what really happens. Every time you wake up and stand quickly in the dark, your blood pressure spikes. For someone young and healthy, this might just cause momentary dizziness. But for seniors, this sudden change called orthostatic hypotension can significantly increase the risk of falling, fainting, or even experiencing a stroke. One study from the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine found that seniors who simply stopped drinking fluids 90 minutes before bedtime reduced their nighttime awakenings by nearly 50%. But even more crucially, they reduced their nighttime blood pressure volatility, the silent, invisible stressor that so often sets the stage for nighttime stroke. This one adjustment doesn't mean drinking less water overall. In fact, the opposite is true. It means front-loading your hydration, getting most of your fluids in during the morning and early afternoon, when your organs are more active and can process water efficiently. Think of your hydration like a bank account. Depositing early gives your body time to use it wisely. Trying to cram it all in at night? That's like flooding the vault. For seniors, especially those with blood pressure issues, heart disease, or kidney concerns, this change can dramatically reduce overnight stress on the cardiovascular system. And let us be honest, there is a dignity in not having to wake up twice a night to fumble toward the bathroom, half asleep, hoping not to trip. But it's not just about when you drink, it's also about what you drink. Sugary sodas, energy drinks, caffeine, and even some fruit juices late at night can overstimulate the system or worsen dehydration. Alcohol, while it may make you sleepy at first, disrupts sleep quality and suppresses your brain's self-regulation processes. Instead, Helen, as neurologist, recommended a gentler nighttime drink, a small glass of room-temperature water with a pinch of pink, Himalayan salt, and a few drops of lemon juice consumed at least 2 hours before bed. This blend helps balance electrolytes, supports circulation, and hydrates without flooding the system. And here is something few people talk about. Hydration isn't just about fluid, it is also about minerals. Seniors often have depleted magnesium or potassium levels, which can affect nerve signaling, blood vessel tone, and even sleep cycles. That's why pairing smart fluid intake with a diet rich in leafy greens, bananas, or even a magnesium supplement can enhance nighttime brain protection. Ultimately, the goal isn't to avoid drinking, it's to drink strategically. Because while water is life, mistimed water is risk. Helen now starts her day with 2 glasses of water. One before breakfast, one mid-morning. She drinks a larger glass at lunch, and then gradually tapers off by 5 or 6 p.m. The result? No more midnight bathroom dashes, and more importantly, her blood pressure logs show a much steadier pattern during the night. It's a small shift, but for Helen, and for anyone entering the later chapters of life, it is a shift that protects the brain, preserves rest, and gives every new day a better start. Section 3. The sleeping position that quietly raises stroke risk. Frank never thought much about how he slept. For 76 years, his body naturally settled into lying flat on his back, arms folded, head nestled into his favorite pillow. It was a position that felt secure, familiar, like a routine too small to matter. Until one morning, his wife found him barely responsive, his speech slurred, his right arm weak. The doctors called it a minor stroke. But what they told Frank afterward changed how he thought about sleep forever. Do you sleep completely flat? A neurologist asked. Frank nodded. The doctor sighed and explained something Frank had never considered. How you sleep can affect how blood flows through your brain, especially as you age. When we lie flat, particularly on our backs, gravity stops assisting the drainage of blood from the brain. For a younger person with flexible arteries and strong vein valves, this might not pose an issue. But for seniors with stiffer vessels, weaker heart function, or mild sleep apnea, it can cause blood to pool in the skull and increase cranial pressure. This isn't theory, it's physiology. A study in the Journal of Stroke and Cerebrovascular Diseases found that older adults who sleep fully flat increase their risk of nighttime stroke by 23%, especially those with high blood pressure or circulatory problems. Why? Because lying flat not only disrupts blood flow, but also impairs breathing, 2 of the most critical systems for brain health. Let's break it down further. During sleep, your body enters its lowest energy mode. Heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, and breathing becomes more shallow. That's normal. But in older adults, this physiological slowdown can sometimes go too far. The airway narrows, oxygen levels dip, and blood vessels already stiffened struggle to maintain steady flow. If you're lying flat, especially if your head is lower than your heart, your brain struggles to drain waste fluid, and any underlying apnea or snoring may cause micro-oxygen drops through the night. The result? Subtle pressure fluctuations that don't wake you up, but quietly stress your brain. The solution is remarkably simple and underutilized. Elevate your head and upper torso by 10 to 30 degrees using a wedge pillow or adjustable bed. This modest incline does 3 things. Assists blood drainage from the brain, reducing nighttime pressure. Improves airway openness, decreasing sleep apnea risk. Supports smoother breathing, which reduces oxygen dips and blood pressure surges. It is not about sitting upright like in a hospital bed. It is about a gentle lift that supports your physiology. Frank's doctor recommended a 25-degree incline using a firm wedge pillow. Within days, Frank noticed he was waking up more refreshed and less groggy. He also stopped snoring, something his wife was even more grateful for than he was. Another surprising insight? Side sleeping, especially on the left side, has been shown to help brain detoxification. A 2015 study from the Journal of Neuroscience revealed that the brain's lymphatic system The mechanism that clears waste and inflammation functions better on the left side. This position also supports better digestion and less acid reflux, which can disrupt sleep for many seniors. But perhaps the most powerful change comes from awareness. Most people assume their sleep position is harmless. It's something we do without thinking. Yet for aging brains and delicate vascular systems, it could be the single most underestimated factor in nighttime stroke risk. Think about it. You sleep around a third of your life. That's thousands of nights, thousands of hours. A small, consistent pressure on the brain adds up. A subtle breathing restriction night after night builds a pattern. But just one adjustment in your pillow, mattress, or angle of rest can break that pattern and start a new, safer one. Frank now tells every senior he meets, change your position, save your brain. And he's not wrong. For him, it wasn't a major surgery or a miracle drug. It was a wedge pillow. And sometimes, that is all it takes to stay out of the hospital and keep your mornings clear and bright. Section 4. Is your bedroom secretly sabotaging your sleep? Before Margaret retired, she used to joke that she could fall asleep on a rock. A long nursing career taught her how to nap during lunch breaks, sleep through alarms, and rest in uncomfortable chairs. But after turning 68 and moving into her quiet suburban home, something strange began happening. She couldn't sleep. Not just tossing and turning. Margaret was waking up 4, sometimes 5 times, a night heart racing, forehead damp, thoughts scattered like static. She tried herbal teas, warm baths, even counting sheep. Nothing worked. Until one day, her granddaughter visited and said something that stuck. "Grandma, your bedroom feels like a hotel from the 90s. That night, Margaret looked around with new eyes. A space heater humming by her feet. An old TV glowing faintly across the room. A charging phone on the nightstand blinking like a lighthouse. Heavy drapes keeping the room sealed, stuffy. And then it hit her bedroom. The place meant to restore her had become a silent enemy. We often think of sleep problems as internal stress, hormones, aging. But for many older adults, the environment around them is quietly working against them. Your bedroom can either support your brain's recovery at night or disrupt it without you knowing. Let's explore the 3 biggest bedroom saboteurs for seniors. 1. Temperature. Too warm for deep sleep. Most older adults prefer warmth. Arthritis hates cold after all. But here's what science shows. A slightly cool environment supports deeper, more restorative sleep. When your bedroom is too warm, your body has to work harder to regulate temperature, which raises heart rate and blood pressure during the night, 2 things that should stay low. According to The Lancet, seniors who sleep in rooms over 72 degrees Fahrenheit report more awakenings, lighter sleep stages, and even higher inflammation markers in their blood the next morning. The sweet spot? Around 60-67 degrees Fahrenheit. It might take a few nights to adjust, but once your body adapts, sleep becomes more profound and brain protective. 2. Light pollution, the quiet melatonin killer. We are creatures of light. Our brains are wired to follow the sun, and melatonin, the sleep hormone, only activates in darkness. Yet today's bedrooms are cluttered with TV screens, phones, digital clocks, and even glowing Wi-Fi routers. These sources of blue light disrupt melatonin production, keeping the brain alert when it should be drifting off. A study in oxidative medicine and cellular longevity found that seniors exposed to blue light within 1 hour of bedtime had a 34% drop in melatonin levels and an associated increase in nighttime stroke risk. The solution? Replace bright bedside bulbs with amber or red-toned night lights. Switch screens to night mode and aim to turn off electronics 1 hour before bed. 3. Electromagnetic clutter, a new frontier in sleep disruption. It sounds futuristic, but the effects of electromagnetic frequencies on sleep, especially in older, more sensitive bodies, are increasingly studied. Cordless phones, routers, smartwatches, charging cables right by your pillow. They all emit low-level EMFs that may interfere with your brain's rhythms. Early studies at European sleep clinics show correlations between high bedroom EMF exposure and fragmented sleep patterns, especially in those over 60. While the science is still developing, many stroke clinics now recommend simple steps. Keep phones on airplane mode overnight. Unplug non-essential electronics near the bed. Use battery-powered clocks or devices. Margaret didn't need fancy equipment. She turned off her heater, opened her window a crack, put her phone in the next room, and started using a dim amber light instead of the TV glow. Within days, she was sleeping 6 to 7 hours straight for the first time in years. The moral here isn't about fear. It's about taking back control of your sanctuary. Your bedroom should feel like a cocoon, not a control room. And for seniors, that cocoon can mean the difference between mental fog and mental clarity, between waking groggy or feeling truly rested, between silent risk and long-term protection. Section 5. 3 bedtime rituals that help protect your brain while you sleep. When Harold lost his wife, his world shrank to a quiet, gray shell. For months, he wandered through his days in silence and drifted through his nights in fragmented sleep. He wasn't depressed, not in the textbook sense, but something inside him felt frayed, thin, brittle. Most nights, he lay in bed, eyes wide open, heart oddly restless, thoughts looping like broken film. One evening, during a community wellness talk at the senior center, a retired neurologist shared something that stuck with Harold. Sleep is your brain's repair window. And just like a car engine before a long drive, your brain needs a proper wind down before it can run smoothly overnight. That sentence changed everything, because Harold realized something. He'd been waiting for sleep to rescue him, rather than preparing his body and mind to enter it. From that night on, he decided to craft a small evening routine, not just to pass time, but to invite rest in. What he didn't expect was that these 3 tiny rituals would not only improve his sleep, but also restore his sense of calm, focus, and emotional clarity. Here's what Harold and many others have found to work. Ritual 1. The neurological wind down. You might think bedtime should be about stillness, but gentle movement, especially for the shoulders, neck, and jaw, can do wonders. Why? Because these areas are hubs for the vagus nerve, a key part of your nervous system that helps lower heart rate, reduce anxiety, and balance blood pressure. By stimulating this system before bed, you send your brain a signal. It's safe now. You can relax. Try this simple sequence, sitting or standing. Roll shoulders in slow circles, 10 times forward, 10 times back. Gently tilt head side to side, then forward and back. Open and close your jaw slowly, massaging the joint. Pair the movements with deep breathing. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Exhale through your mouth for 6. A 2021 study in Frontiers in Neurology found that seniors who practiced this routine reduced nighttime blood pressure spikes by 17% and reported fewer awakenings. Harold started doing this nightly while listening to classical music. After a week, he was sleeping through the night. Ritual 2. Elevate your legs to ease your heart. Gravity works against you all day. Fluid pools in your legs. Your ankles swell, your circulation slows. But at night, you can use gravity to your advantage. Lie down and elevate your legs slightly above your heart. You can use firm pillows or rest your legs against the wall for 5 to 10 minutes. This simple inversion improves venous return, aids lymphatic drainage, reduces pressure on the heart and brain, relieves nighttime leg cramps and swelling. In a small study from the Journal of Geriatric Cardiology, older adults who did this nightly showed improved morning blood pressure and better sleep continuity within 2 weeks. Harold added this step after reading about it in a library pamphlet. It became his quiet ritual. No phone, no TV, just silence and upward rest. Ritual 3. A sleep cue for the brain. Your brain, believe it or not, responds to ritual and rhythm. When something happens at the same time, in the same way, your nervous system begins to anticipate it. That is why bedtime routines work best when they include a repeatable sensory cue, something your body begins to associate with sleep. You can try a calming scent, a soft texture, a specific sound. In a 2020 Japanese study, stroke survivors who used a daily sensory sleep cue fell asleep 28% faster and had less nighttime wakefulness. Harold chose lavender oil. Just a few drops on his pillow and a dab on his wrists. The scent, after a few nights, became a signal to his mind, time to power down. These 3 rituals don't require gadgets, pills, or apps. They ask only for attention and intention. And in return, they offer something priceless, a calmer mind, a rested brain, and a body that wakes up ready rather than weary. For seniors like Harold, sleep became more than a biological need. It became an evening homecoming, a quiet, sacred ritual of renewal. Section 6. The medication and supplement combos that quietly raised stroke risk. Helen had always been diligent. Every Sunday evening, she lined up her pill organizer like clockwork. The blood pressure pill, the calcium, the multivitamin, and a little capsule of fish oil that her daughter insisted was good for the heart. She never missed a dose. But on the night she collapsed, her body had quietly reached a tipping point that no one had seen coming. What happened to Helen is not rare. Many seniors unknowingly combine medications and supplements in ways that can strain the heart, disturb blood pressure rhythms, and quietly elevate stroke risk over time. The most dangerous part? These combinations seem perfectly safe on the surface, especially when each component is prescribed or recommended with good intentions. Let's explore 5 common medication and supplement combinations that stroke clinics warn seniors about, and what you can do to protect yourself without giving up the help you need. Combo 1. Blood pressure medications plus diuretics at night. For seniors on antihypertensives like ACE inhibitors or beta blockers, adding a diuretic in the evening might feel logical. Flush the system, lower pressure. But during sleep, blood pressure naturally dips. Combine that with diuretic-induced fluid loss, and you might experience nocturnal hypotension, a dangerous drop in pressure when the brain needs steady flow the most. Nighttime fainting, dizziness at dawn, and even strokes during early morning hours have all been linked to this silent interaction. What to do? Ask your doctor if you can take diuretics earlier in the day and monitor your nighttime blood pressure with a wrist cuff to catch dangerous dips. Combo 2. Sleep aids plus antihistamines. Benadryl to ease allergies, a sleep tablet to relax before bed. Common, right? But both slow down your nervous system and can suppress your breathing. In older adults, especially those with undiagnosed sleep apnea, this combo reduces oxygen delivery to the brain, disrupts REM sleep, and increases the risk of nighttime confusion, falls, and vascular instability. What to do? Prioritize non-drug sleep routines, breathing exercises, aromatherapy, magnesium foot soaks. If medication is necessary, always run combinations by a healthcare provider. Combo 3. Blood thinners plus omega-3 or turmeric fish oil and turmeric capsules are popular for heart health. But when mixed with prescription anticoagulants like warfarin or clopidogrel, they can thin the blood too much, raising the risk of internal bleeding or hemorrhagic stroke. What to do? Keep a full supplement list and review it regularly with your physician. Natural doesn't always mean harmless, especially for aging vessels. Combo 4. Statins plus grapefruit or grapefruit extract. Grapefruit blocks a liver enzyme needed to break down statins. The result? Medication levels spike in your bloodstream, potentially damaging liver, muscle tissue, and raising blood pressure. What to do? Avoid grapefruit in all forms unless your doctor clears it. This interaction is strong enough that many prescription labels come with warnings. Combo 5. Antidepressants plus herbal calming aids. It's common for seniors dealing with loss, retirement, or health stress to be prescribed antidepressants. But when you add calming herbs like valerian, St. John's wort, or CBD to the mix, the risk of serotonin syndrome, a dangerous overload of brain chemicals, rises sharply. This can lead to agitation, blood pressure spikes, confusion, and even stroke-like symptoms. What to do? Don't assume that herbs are safe just because they read natural. Share all supplements with your provider and never mix without clearance. Section 7. Your Brain's Night Crew. The hidden, healing power of deep sleep. When Dorothy's neurologist explained the role of something called the glymphatic system, she was stunned. "You mean my brain has a night crew that works while I'm sleeping?" she asked with a half laugh, half disbelief. The answer was yes, and it changed how she thought about every bedtime habit. This night crew inside your brain, formerly known as the glymphatic system, is one of the most critical yet least known parts of your health defense, especially after age 60. It's a powerful network that cleans, heals, and protects your brain every night, but only if you give it the right conditions to operate. Let's uncover how it works, why aging interferes with it, and how simple changes to your nightly routine can help it function better, potentially reducing your risk of stroke, memory loss, and cognitive decline. What is the glymphatic system, and why should seniors care? Think of the glymphatic system like the janitorial crew of a hospital. It comes in after hours, scrubs every surface, clears out the trash, and resets the space for a new day. In your brain, this system flushes out toxic proteins like beta amyloid and tau, clears metabolic waste, and reduces inflammation. Here's the catch. It only works during deep, uninterrupted sleep. After 60, however, many factors disrupt this process: frequent awakenings, sleep apnea, nighttime urination, poor sleep posture, and low melatonin levels. These disruptions rob your brain of the chance to clean house. Over time, that means more toxic buildup, more vascular strain, and a higher risk of mini-strokes or cognitive damage. The silent consequences of a disrupted night crew. When Dorothy struggled with poor sleep for years, frequent bathroom trips, occasional insomnia, restless legs, she assumed it was just part of aging. But as her memory began to slip and her balance wavered, her doctor connected the dots. Her brain wasn't healing properly at night. Broken sleep means the glymphatic system doesn't get fully activated. Toxins remain, stress hormones stay elevated, and blood vessels don't repair. This increases the risk of inflammation, plaque buildup, and even microbleeds in the brain. It is not just about being tired. It is about your brain staying clogged and overworked. 3 ways to support your glymphatic system starting tonight. Create an unbroken sleep window. Aim for at least 7 hours of uninterrupted rest. Avoid water or diuretics 90 minutes before bed. Use blackout curtains, white noise machines, and a consistent sleep-wake schedule. Your brain can only flush itself properly if it has enough time in the deep sleep zone. Sleep with your head slightly elevated. A small incline can make a huge difference. It helps cerebrospinal fluid drain more effectively, supports oxygen flow, and prevents pressure from building inside the skull. A wedge pillow or adjustable bed is a smart investment for brain health. Support melatonin naturally. Dim lights after sunset, reduce screen time, and eat melatonin-friendly foods like tart cherries, walnuts, or goji berries in the evening. Avoid caffeine after 2 p.m. Melatonin is your body's sleep conductor, and without it, the night crew won't know when to clock in. Final thought. Give your brain a chance to heal. We often think of healing as something that happens in hospitals, under bright lights, surrounded by machines. But for your brain, the real recovery happens in the quiet hours, between midnight and 5 a.m. When everything is still, and the glymphatic crew gets to work. The tragedy is that most seniors, like Dorothy, never hear about this system until damage is already done. But now you know. And that knowledge is power. Every choice you make tonight, from when you drink water, to how you position your pillow, to turning off the TV an hour earlier, isn't just a comfort decision. It's an investment in your long-term brain health. A small shift tonight could mean a sharper, stronger tomorrow. Section 8. How one small change can trigger a cascade of healing when 68-year-old Leonard adjusted the incline of his bed by just a few inches. He didn't expect a miracle. After all, he had been living with high blood pressure, mild cognitive decline, and waking up 4 or 5 times a night for over a decade. "At my age, you don't expect things to reverse," he said. But what followed surprised even his doctor. Within 3 weeks, Leonard was sleeping through most nights. His morning blood pressure stabilized. The brain fog he'd carried around like a heavy coat started to lift. His wife even noticed he was telling jokes again, the first time in months. It all started with that one change. Just one. But like a row of dominoes, it knocked over a series of hidden obstacles he didn't even realize were connected. And that's the core of this final lesson. The path to healing in your 60s, 70s, and beyond doesn't always require drastic overhauls. Sometimes it begins with a shift so subtle, so manageable, that it feels almost too small to matter until it does. The myth of the too late mindset. One of the most dangerous ideas that creeps into the minds of aging adults is this: it's too late for me. Too late to change. Too late to fix things. Too late to heal. But that mindset is a myth. Science has proven again and again that the body and brain are remarkably adaptive, even in later years. Your arteries can become more flexible. Your sleep cycles can be retrained. Your brain can generate new neural pathways. But none of this can happen if we believe change is out of reach. That's why the smallest victories matter most. They break the psychological pattern of helplessness. They spark momentum. The chain reaction, principle of health. Here's something most doctors won't tell you. Health improvements compound. When you get better sleep, your hormones balance more easily. When your hormones stabilize, your blood pressure improves. When blood pressure lowers, your risk of stroke, dementia, and heart disease drops. When your brain gets consistent oxygen, memory sharpens. It's all connected. So even one change, like lifting your head 15 degrees, or skipping that nighttime snack, or stopping screen time an hour earlier, can ignite this chain reaction. It's like fixing a leak in the roof. Sure, it's just one repair, but it protects the whole house. Pick one change. Just one. You don't need to flip your life upside down tonight. In fact, doing too much at once often leads to burnout. Instead, ask yourself this: what is one small change I can make tonight that future me will be grateful for? Maybe it's moving your glass of water to earlier in the evening, using a wedge pillow to sleep at an angle, doing shoulder rolls and deep breathing before bed, putting your phone in another room, swapping your tea for magnesium-rich herbs. The key is not perfection. It's consistency. One small improvement repeated each night becomes the foundation for better sleep, lower stroke risk, and healthier brain function over time. Leonard's lesson. It's not about control, it's about support. Leonard didn't cure his aging body. That wasn't his goal. What he did was support it gently, patiently, and wisely. He stopped fighting his biology and started working with it. And in doing so, he gave his brain and body permission to recover. You can do the same. So tonight, be kind to your future self. Make one small change. Let the healing begin not in a hospital, but right there in your bedroom, in silence, while you sleep. There's no magic cure for aging, but there is wisdom in awareness and power in small, consistent choices. You don't have to wait for a hospital visit to protect your brain or prevent a stroke. It starts at home, in your routines, in your bedroom, and how you listen to your body each night. From hydration timing to sleep posture, from bedroom light to medication review. These small actions are not just helpful, they're life-saving. Don't underestimate the ripple effect of one mindful change. You are not powerless. You are wiser now. And that wisdom, when paired with action, is the best medicine there is.